Hello, Internet! If I sound a little bit different, it's because I'm recording this from my headphone microphone in the relax zone of the South Korean International Airport. I'm returning from vacation, and basically, if I don't do this now, the episode won't get up on Monday. So, before today's episode begins, I first wanted to thank everyone who has sent pictures of them wearing their Wizard On shirts. You guys all look amazing. I'm glad that you like the shirts, and also that I didn't screw up mailing them to you. If you guys want a shirt, you can still get them. Just gotta be a $10 patron on patreon.com/Potterless. And speaking of Patreon, I have a new policy that I'm doing with the Patreon funds. So what I've decided to do is that at the end of every month, for every patron that we have, I will donate $1 to a charitable cause. I figured it's just something we could do as a team to help people in need. So last month, we had 52 patrons, and I donated $52 to Puerto Rico hurricane relief funds, just because it's something that they really could use help for. And I know it's not a monumental amount of money, but I think it's just a cool thing that we could do as a Potterless team. So if you do become a patron now, you will help donate to people in need. So you get bonus content, you help people out. What's not to love? And speaking of Patreon, we have new patrons to welcome. So shout out to Casey McCoy and Marie Ziegler, and a huge shout out to Alexander Stark, who joins the producer level team of Andreas, Vicky, Aaron, Erica, Calvin, Michael, Sadie, Emily, Chandra, Jesse, Maggie, Natalie, Deborah, Daisy, Clow, Michael, and Sean, whose flights are never delayed. So without further ado, let's get into this next episode of Potterless. Part 2 with Zach Valenti, covering chapters 17 through 19 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Hello, Internet! Welcome back to another episode of Potterless, the journey of a 25-year-old man reading Harry Potter for the first time. My name is Mike Schubert, and I am joined again by voice actor of both Doug Eiffel, as well as, well, he has so many names, but I guess Dr. Hilbert is the most common one.
Yes.
On Wolf 359, Zach Valenti. Zach, how's it going?
Very well. Very well. Great to be here.
Are you going to do the entire episode in Hilbert?
Is possible. Not ideal for listeners and clarity.
I think it comes across as pretty clear. But yes, Zach is a lovely person that helps make Wolf 359 one of my favorite audio dramas possible.
Oh,
and
thank you.
we're back at it for some more Harry Potter. So I say we just get right back into it.
dive in.
Chapter 17, which is called Educational Degree Number 24. So there's a big notice on the Gryffindor bulletin board in their common room that is this educational decree. It says that all organizations, societies, clubs, teams, etc. are banned. Any of those is defined as 3 or more students gathering together. So initially, right off the bat, this seems like a problem since Ron, Harry, and Hermione always hang out together. They're just eternally a club. Have they not gotten in trouble already?
Yep.
So the timing of it is very suspect to Harry since they literally just formed the secret Defense Against the Dark Arts class. So he's afraid that somebody snitched. His initial thought is that whoever that witch at the bar was a spy. The decree says that you can go to Umbridge to resubmit your group, club, or whatever to try to get it reinstated, but that's the only way that your club is allowed to exist. Otherwise, you're expelled if you are
This
caught.
is why we can't have nice things.
Exactly.
Spying witches.
But you learn it's not really a spy. No. Or at least not a bad spy. So some second-year kid reads the notice and says, "Oh no, are they going to get rid of the Gobstones Club?" And Ron angrily mutters, "I think you'll be fine with Gobstones," which is AKA like, "Get the hell out of here, you nerd." Like, we've got bigger things to worry about. Ron believes that either Zachariah Smith or Michael Corner is the snitch, and that immediately lets you know that it's not them because Ron is always
Right.
wrong.
That would just be
when
too
he's trying
easy.
to accuse people of stuff. I know there is the theory that Ron is a seer, but I don't think he's ever right when he accuses someone of something because he always thinks it's Snape. He thought it was Karkaroff. He's never right with an accusation. Maybe he's seer about other stuff. But when it comes to assigning guilt, he's O for however many times he's guessed. At least so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think if he's ever right.
I know there is the whole thing of like all the times Ron like made a joking comment that turned out to be true, but I don't know that any of them
are when he is blaming someone for
Right,
something
right,
bad
right,
happening.
right.
I'm pretty sure he's always wrong about that.
I feel like there's got to be like 1 or 2 points.
When I'm done, I'm so excited for when I'm done and I can just finally read all these theories and stuff people keep telling me.
That's so funny.
It'll be really good to do a big old deep dive. So Ron tries to run up the stairs to the girls' dormitories to tell Hermione, but he gets 2 steps up and the entire staircase turns into a slide, and he slides all the way down. 2 fourth-year girls slide down giggling like, hee hee,
Right.
who tried to run up the stairs?
They thought about it. Also, I love that it's taken us this many books for us to ever have heard of it, and the girls are like,
Yep.
what is it, Tuesday?
Yeah, apparently it's a very common thing.
Right.
So Hermione quickly follows these 2 girls on the way down, and Ron asks her, why can girls go into the boys' dorm, but boys can't go into the girls' dorm? That's not fair. And Hermione says, well, it's an old-fashioned rule, but a history of Hogwarts says that boys were considered less trustworthy than girls.
I love how relevant that book is to their lives.
Yeah.
And how little anybody but Hermione has read it.
Yep, it's super true. And I love that Hogwarts, a school that I always make fun of for being poorly run and poorly managed and everything, at least the infrastructure is a beautiful feminist staircase slide. Like, great on you, stairwell.
Right.
You're the one redeeming quality of Hogwarts.
Right, an appropriately cock-blocking stairwell.
Just the right amount.
But also, like, questionable in its gender politics, like, sort of like gender identity, like, acknowledgement.
Yeah, it definitely has a binary system.
But that's really London, let's be the UK.
Yeah, sure.
Boarding schools in general.
A different time. This is also like in the 90s. It's a different time.
Wow. Is it real? Are we there? Are we there? Are
Yeah.
we in a day and age where the 90s are a different time?
Yeah, I mean, like 1997 was 20 years ago.
Right. I'm just like, I'm of the age where, like, I was contemporary with Harry for most of the books.
I mean, well, the books even take place a little bit in the past. Like, I think the books take place in like the 90s, or at least late 80s, early 90s. But we've gotten to a point where, I don't know, saying midget was totally cool in the 90s.
I don't know about totally cool, but
Well, I mean, it
it was definitely something that I heard a lot growing up.
growing up, I always heard that was just the correct identification of them. Like, I just learned that is what you call a little person until I got to like 5th grade, and then someone was like, "Oh, by the way,
I did go to a school called the Ethical Culture Fieldston School.
wow,
I transferred in 3rd grade, and suddenly had ethics class.
that sounds very forward thinking."
There was a lot of ethics. There was a non-zero amount of ethics.
So you were ahead of the curve.
Maybe, I don't know.
It unfortunately took me until I was in high school to where people finally realized, oh, saying that's so gay is not cool anymore. That took my peers way too long for my
We might have gotten ethics class, but that stuff still went down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think kids are just awful, but you know.
Yeah. Oh,
Anywho.
1,000%. The worst.
Back to these magical kids.
Yeah, back to these magical kids that aren't as bad. Hermione says that a rat is impossible.
I want that shirt, by the way. Magical kids who aren't as bad.
Hermione says a rat is impossible because she put a jinx on the parchment that if anybody rats on that group existing, they get super acne, which,
What a
holy
super
shit,
snake.
Hermione is amazing. She's absolutely incredible. The best wizard. Rewrite the books from her perspective, please.
Oh my god, I would
So,
buy
can you
all
imagine?
of those.
Yeah, immediately. I'd buy them all
Right.
twice.
Let's be real. They'd all be 3 times as
They're that
long, and mostly like, wow, all of these people are far inferior to my intelligence because she would just be right.
Yeah, the phrase "I can't believe Harry" or "I can't believe Ron" would be littered throughout the book, or just lots of sighs. Just So Angelina Johnson is freaking out because Quidditch counts as one of these clubs, teams, organizations that is banned by this new educational decree. And in my mind, that doesn't sound too bad because Quidditch is the worst thing ever. So in my world, I was like, this is great news. I don't know why you're so mad. Harry and Ron, when Angelina says this, are shocked. They say, what? No way. Even though the freaking decree, like in giant letters, says teams on it, they didn't put 2 and 2 together that Quidditch counts.
Right.
So not Ron and Harry's brightest moment. She pleads with Harry to behave himself because she's afraid that Quidditch is going to be taken away from them if Harry acts up again. It's not a matter of Harry missing practice. Now it's a matter of the sport not being able to be played by Gryffindor.
Right.
So bigger stakes are at hand.
The future of the team hangs in the balance.
I mean, it really does. But the thing is, if you're gonna We'll get into this later.
Okay.
Because they reinstate the Slytherin team.
Right.
But you either have to get rid of the entire sport or keep the entire sport. You can't let in some teams. There's only 4 teams in the whole damn league.
Right. It makes it a bullshit game.
Like, yeah. Like, what happens if Slytherin's the only one that's reinstated?
They win by default is what happens,
They
which
just
is
win every
also
game.
total bullshit. Because doesn't that have something to do with like which house wins the overall thing? Like,
Oh, it is the most significant measure of House Cup points
Right.
is Quidditch. It's easily the most important thing.
so really she's just Slytherin, which means really she's just evil.
Ooh.
Fighting
That'd be a
words.
good theory. Is Umbridge a Slytherin? I like it. That's a
Fighting
good theory.
words.
I could roll
I don't
with
think
it.
I don't know if
So-
she is though. I guess
I don't know if she even went to Hogwarts.
Duh.
Did she?
No, but I don't know where else she went. Probably the
I
lesser
don't know,
wizarding school.
Stuffy's school for stuck-up losers. That's what. Zing. So let's.
That's a sick burn.
Yeah, just get some aloe for that one. Hedwig enters a classroom while Harry's there. It's his history of magic. Hedwig flies in through the window, and she's super beat up. Feathers are all rustled, and her leg is hurt. So Ron and Hermione turn around to see what's going on, and there's a great quote from the narrator which goes, "Hermione even put down her quill," which again is how you know this is a serious situation when her education is put on pause
Right.
for something else. Harry then makes up a lie that he's not feeling too well to Professor Binns, who is super chill and is like, "Oh yeah, go to the hospital wing. That's totally
Right, because
fine."
he's dead and a ghost.
Yeah, he's dead and is described as, when he turns around when Harry says, "Excuse me, Professor Binns," the description is, "who looked shocked as he always does that people were in the classroom." So I just love to imagine just that after the class leaves, he just stays in this classroom and keeps writing notes about other things. Like he's just in a constant
Right.
state of writing notes. And if people are in class, cool. And if not, whatever.
Do you think he gets paid for teaching?
Maybe it's like the ghost thing where he gets free room and board, kind of.
But like, does he need room and board? / can they deprive him if he just wants to live in the walls? Because like, he's a ghost.
He can do whatever he wants. He's a ghost. Maybe they could banish him if they wanted to, but
bet they
have an
could.
agreement where they don't.
Right.
They could probably do some spell to kick him out.
Right. Interesting. I wonder what the
Yeah.
politics of like tenure is for the dead ones.
Yeah. Like, what is the Peeves situation that he
Oh my
gets to
God.
terrorize the students but isn't kicked out?
He must have like really helped somebody out back in the day.
Yeah, he must have been integral. He had to jump in front of a bullet of wizardry. And then they
Yeah.
just, we got to keep his
Something
ghost
like
around.
Abundantly forgivable because he is just a menace.
Yeah, he really is. But he's got a good heart, right? It's always in good
I
pranking.
really don't think so.
fun.
I think
He's just a
I
bully.
think he's a troll of the highest order.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think he
Yeah,
comes
that's
around
accurate.
when it like really, really counts. But like,
Mhm.
man, I'm glad I don't have to deal with him. I'll just say that.
True. Very true. Very true. Harry then heads over to, instead of the hospital wing, like he said, he goes to find Professor Grubblyplank. And while he does, he runs into some gargoyles who are being sassy to him outside. I think with what's either he's outside the teacher's lounge or he's outside of Grubblyplank's office, and there's gargoyles and they're sassing him for carrying around the bird and all this other stuff. And he's like, "Guys, get out of my way. I need to talk to Professor Grubblyplank." But McGonagall answers the door. And while Harry's talking to her, Grubblyplank comes up, and when Harry mentions the owl, she says, "Oh no, let's see what's wrong." She admits that she doesn't think it's thestrals, which I still don't know what those are. This is the second time that they've been mentioned, but I don't know what they are. My guess is that they're those they're the evil skeleton horse things that Harry saw at the beginning of this book, but that's only because I have one unnamed mythical creature and then one undescribed mythical creature, and I'm
Right.
just connecting point A to slot B.
Do you want me to confirm or deny, or leave it a mystery?
No,
Okay,
leave it a mystery. I want to see what happens. This
We're
is
gonna
my
live,
guess.
We're gonna live in the darkness.
I am really bad at guessing what's right and wrong. I thought Ludo Bagman was the villain in the 4th book, so all bets are off.
interesting.
So I could
right,
be
as
super
opposed
wrong.
to just like a shitty gambler.
I just did not see Barty Crouch Jr. coming because
Because he literally
he's dead.
Yeah.
He's dead. I was like, cool, he's not a suspect. He's dead. But nope.
right, looked like a totally different
Just
person.
classic red herring there. Oh, plot twist, not
Right.
dead. So
Not dead yet.
love that classic one. So Grubblyplank says that she'll take a look at Hedwig and we'll figure out the issue. Just give me some time. Harry grabs the scroll that was attached to Hedwig's foot And as he's walking out the room, McGonagall says maybe she was intercepted and that's why she's all kind of beat up.
Right.
So Harry then takes the note, goes away, reads it, and it's from Sirius. And it only says tonight, same time, same place. And that's it. The squad agrees, thinking that it's been intercepted because you can read a message and then use a spell to like put it back on Hedwig's leg. So they're a bit worried to meet up with Sirius because they're thinking the meeting could get hijacked. Spoiler alert, it does.
You think that in the thousands of years of wizarding history, they'd figure out how to like police spells. Or just like Geiger counters for magic, just like sure it looks like it's not been opened, but like like oh like totally magic.
Yeah. A metal detector for if a spell has happened recently to this thing. That would be good. That'd be a good way to know something didn't have a jinx on it too. Like if you're trying to eat one of Fred and George's candies, you can be like, oh, this is going to turn me into a pile of feces. Not going to eat it.
I'll be waiting by my mailbox, Wizarding World, for all your product design needs.
Yeah, let's do it. So they're on their way to potions class. Neville lashes out on Malfoy after Malfoy makes a comment about Mungo's hospital as an insult. And Neville lashes out because his parents are in Mungo because of the Crucio curse that happened to them. Harry holds Neville back from beating the crap out of Malfoy and has to be hush-hush about what that was about because Harry knows why, because Dumbledore told him about his parents. But he's like not supposed to know, and Neville doesn't know that he knows, so he has to just keep it as a hush-hush and try to play it off as he's just trying to get Neville out of trouble. But good move on Harry for stepping in. Snape witnesses this fight, though, and takes away 10 points from Gryffindor. Classic Snape. He just has impeccable timing. He always manages to see anytime a Gryffindor lashes out against a Slytherin, and it's always after the Slytherin does something terrible. His timing is on another level.
Is it on another level, or is he just waiting around the corner?
Oh, he's like that person in a movie that's like waiting behind. No one can fly the helicopter.
Right, exactly.
Because he did
he's like,
that.
man, I've been here for 4 hours.
Snape did that I think he did that in the first book. I'm
That's
almost
hilarious.
1,000% positive Snape did this
It's like
in the
that
first
creepy guy at a bar in old Hollywood movies with a lighter, just like waiting for somebody to whip out a cigarette that they want to sleep with.
book. Yeah, Patches O'Houlihan from Dodgeball is always waiting. He's just
O'Houlihan.
right there for it.
Wow, deep cut.
So they go into potions class, and Umbridge is sitting in on this one. So Harry is very interested to see how Umbridge versus Snape goes down. He keeps messing up the potion of the class because he keeps trying to lean in and overhear the conversation between the two, which is fantastic. He's just very invested in two of his least favorite people duking it out. So they're making a strengthening potion, and Umbridge at the end of the lesson mentions to Snape that it probably should be removed from the syllabus because it's too intensive a potion, which seems absurd since it's just a strengthening potion. It doesn't really seem that bad at all. Snape says that he's been teaching for 14 years when asked how long he's been at the school, and that means that he was hired the year after the Potters were killed. So I think the timeline of that is interesting. I'm wondering if that really kind of comes into play because you would think that's the point in which he disbanded from the Death Eaters, which would have made sense timeline-wise because I know that he's got a big crush on Harry's mom, so maybe her dying was enough to make him want to switch, blah, 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 blah. I just thought that specific amount of 14 years was of particular interest. That might come into play later, in my mind.
You were definitely paying closer attention than I was as a child.
I mean, I'm reading this for a podcast where the whole point is that I point stuff out. So it takes me so long to read these chapters because I am reading them with the finest tooth comb ever. Because she loves to sprinkle in red herrings and stuff that comes into play later. So I'm always on the prowl for something. And that's why when there were very, very faint hints of Ludo Bagman being kind of bad in the fourth book, I was so convinced it was him because I was just thinking, this is going to be her trying to plant the tiniest seed, and I'm not going to let it get you past me, JK. And I fell for it so badly.
The house elves were more important.
Oh, no, it's true, though. He wasn't even in the movie.
Now, if you were to go shopping in the Wizarding World for this finest of tooth combs, where would you go?
Is there a real answer to this?
No.
Okay, I was going to say, I was like, did I miss out on the grooming store? Like,
no, we could play trivia, but we won't go there right now. We have more of this chapter to get through.
Yeah, we have a lot more. We have a couple more chapters to get through. But I don't know. I don't know where I'd go. Zonkos, why not?
Nocturnally. It's so fine tooth, it's illegal.
And it also yells evil things at you while you're
That's right.
combing it.
You hairy, gross.
Yeah.
Hairy. No, I don't know.
Fight your parents.
I have like a
resist.
growing list of people to apologize to by the end of this double episode.
It's all good. I'll get the bulk of the stuff in the Twitter mention, so don't worry. Umbridge brings up that he was repeatedly turned down for the Defense Against the Dark Arts job, which is unnecessary, and asks if he knows why Dumbledore refuses. And Snape says, obviously, I don't know why, but there's clearly a reason if he's not giving me the job. So Snape is definitely put off by that, which is good because as many people as we can get on Team Fuck Umbridge, the better, because she's awful. She's really bad.
Right, but that's also like an I don't know why grasping for an analogy where it's really obvious why, and we're just not talking about it because it's awkward old history. Like why somebody wouldn't go to I don't know. Let's move on.
Harry then messes up his potion awfully because he was very invested in this back and forth between the two. He messes up so bad that Snape gives him a 0 and then makes him write a paper describing where he went wrong, in addition to the homework that he already has. Like, that's how bad he messed up the potion. So, not good for Harry Potter and Potions class. He says that he wants to skive off in divination class, which is the British way of saying skip, but skive off is way better.
Sounds so much more righteous.
So better. I need to skive off. Like, oh, hell yeah, you do.
Sounds like a legitimate thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to just bailing.
I'm ditching class.
Right.
Or playing hooky. So Hermione says, you can't skive off because you already missed History of Magic. Harry says, right, true.
Because that's how ditching class works.
Yeah, you can only do it once per day. You've hit your quota for skiving off. No one skives off twice in a day, Harry. That's just absurd. So Harry says, well, but you've left her class before. You hate her. And Hermione says, I don't hate her. I just think she's a horrible teacher and an old hag, which is phenomenal. Gotta love a good old Hermione diss.
Right. It's not personal. It's just personal.
So they go to Trelawney's class, and she's super upset because apparently Umbridge gave her a very poor rating in her review. And I actually kind of feel bad for Trelawney in this case because she's put on probation, which seems harsh. The subject he's teaching is not perfect. It's about predicting stuff, which is not going to be the best. And yes, Trelawney's not amazing, but to put her on probation seems extreme.
Excessive.
Yeah, because she's like trying her best. Whereas you have people like Snape who's literally just trying to get Harry in as much trouble as he can just because he doesn't like his dad.
True.
So at least Trelawney's trying to teach her subject.
But I just like in 5 years, one of those subjects will be relevant to their wizarding lives.
Exactly. Yes.
And
exactly.
I think in that rubric, the right fire was made, but like just saying.
Yeah, for sure. So Angelina Johnson reveals that Umbridge still has an approved Gryffindor Quidditch team, even though the Slytherin team has already been approved. So again, back to our previous point that we made, which is this is complete bullshit if it's not all or nothing. Because if you have 3 teams, that screws up the entire schedule. And if you have 1 team, it's not a sport anymore because you don't have any opponents.
Yep.
So
Although, only way Slytherin ever wins Quidditch?
yeah, I mean, they haven't yet. Harry has not lost a game in which he hasn't passed out yet. This section of the book is no exception to that. So I want to see if he keeps his undefeated streak alive and well.
There's an Ender's Game parallel.
Oh, I've not read that, but I should.
Oh, dude, there's another podcast for you.
Well, that's going to be in addition to Lauderless, which will be my Lord of the Thrones I haven't read or
Nice.
watched. And then I'll do Godderless, which will be Game of
Oh my
Thrones,
God.
because I haven't watched that either. And then I'll have to think of a pun with Ender's Game.
Enderless?
But-
Endless?
Endless? Oh, God.
I mean, there's so many books in that series, it might as well be.
I'll just make my entire podcasting career based on not being into fantasy stuff as a kid, but
Right.
then really embracing my nerdiness later in life.
Right.
And just doing big 180s. Oh, man. So they're back in the Gryffindor Towers. Harry is trying to write his essays while Fred and George are displaying their new and improved vomit-inducing shoes, which is fantastic. They eventually then go on to meet Sirius at the fireplace, and Sirius yells at the squad for not being covert enough about their secret group because Mundungus was that creepy witch that was hanging out in the Hogshead, and he was like, guys, what the heck? Meeting in a public place, not necessarily the best idea.
Take it from me.
Yeah, take it from me. I'm serious. So he then has to pass along the message that Molly Weasley forbids Ron from being in the group and advises Harry and Hermione, since she can't enforce it since they're not her children. She can't deliver this message in person through the fireplace because she's, quote, on duty, which Sirius won't explain when the kids ask him what that means. So that means it's very important and will come into play later. It's just a classic JK move. Sirius is pro the group existing, though, and suggests that they could meet at the Shrieking Shack. Hermione says that's too bit of a hassle for 28 people to go to. And then he says, well, there's a secret passageway in Hogwarts you could go through. But again, Harry says that Fred and George have mentioned that it's caved in, so they can't go there. Then at this point, Sirius abruptly just stops talking, turns his head, and goes away. And then an old hand, which is later revealed to be Umbridge's hand, reaches through the fireplace and is making a snatching motion. So clearly she has intercepted Hedwig, and the squad just runs away in fear. And that's the end of chapter 17.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy ending.
Heating up.
So then we get into chapter 18, which is called Dumbledore's Army. So right off the bat, here we go. Like getting into some good stuff.
Getting into it. I think Dumbledore.army is probably still available.
Oh, baby. I didn't know .army was
it's
a thing.
new. It's expensive. I don't have one. I'm trying to resist.
Okay. I mean, you could get one and then probably flip it. Someone's
That's
gonna
true.
want to pay
I've had
money
that
for it.
philosophy for a long time. I've only gotten asked about one of my domains once. Nobody's ever made a serious offer.
Speaking of those, I'm super mad at the person that has Potterlist.com. that
Oh,
is selling it
what
for
a jerk. For how much?
Selling it for $1,000.
Honestly, though, that's not like totally unreasonable.
That makes sense because of Pottermore. Every now and then I search Potterlist, not a hashtag on Twitter, to see if anyone has mentioned it without like tagging me.
Yeah.
And half of the comments are about the podcast, and I'll go back and reply to them or whatever. A quarter of them are saying like, I can't imagine living in a Potterless world, or something about not having Harry Potter.
Right.
And then another quarter are people saying that Pottermore is shit, and they're calling it more like Potterless. Am I right?
That's hysterical.
So
Wow.
I understand why Potterless is taken, but I'm so mad that wizardon.com is taken.
Whoa.
Because that's not a thing. I invented that, and someone's selling it for $534.66.
Again, pretty reasonable.
Not the worst. I'll have to wait
It's
until
weirdly specific.
weirdly specific. And what could Wizard On be from? Like,
Right.
I made that up.
That sucks.
I Googled Wizard On when I said it at the end of my first episode. I was like, ooh, this could be my catchphrase. I wonder if anyone's
Did
ever
you
said
see
this.
the date that somebody got it? Like, did they buy it after you?
No, I just know, like, when I was making my website, potterlesspodcast.com, I looked up wizardon.com, and it was like, you can buy this for $544.36.
Just like for context, as a domain addict, I have been quoted 6 figures on a domain before.
Whoa.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
Did you say
No, I don't have that kind of money.
one that you one that you wanted to buy? I thought
No,
someone
I
wanted to
wish.
buy one
Holy
of
crap.
yours. Oh my god! I was like, dude.
I mean, that would be amazing.
Wait, which one did you want that was so expensive?
Oh man, it was either
butts.com?
like computer.help or like self.care or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
For your self-care Sunday. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. Sometimes I just get inspired. I own evil.af. I'm thinking about
Oh, that's good. AF is one? I
Yeah,
didn't know
it's
that. Is that like
great.
one of the country ones that work?
Yeah, I have another podcast I was doing that was like focus.af. It's Afghanistan, but it's also as
Oh, wow.
F. I don't know if I can swear on your show.
Yeah,
but
I'm tempted with Spain is .es, and I've always been tempted to get Shubs, but shub.es.
That's so great. I have
Yeah.
imza.ch.
Oh, that's great.
But I don't really do anything with it.
That's the thing, is I would buy it and then not do anything with it.
Right.
I need to wait till I'm an important enough person where someone would be like, I wonder what Mike Schubert works on in his spare time, and then I'll get shub.es.
Right. And you can redirect from the regular one, like the .com.
To potterlesspodcast.com, eventually wizardon.com when I'm rich enough.
Anyway, this is a super rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, let's go back to anyway, Harry Potter. Which is, Cindy and I said that in the episode, the second episode that we did.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite thing, is after any tangent to just go, anyway, Harry Potter.
Right.
So-
Classic.
So, oh man. So Hermione thinks Umbridge is the one reading Harry Potter's mail. Cites the Filch dung bomb thing from a couple chapters ago, saying that it was probably her trying to get Filch to read Harry's mail, so put a fake suspicion about him having dung bombs, which make him on ass, etc., etc. So Hermione just connecting the dots. She's playing 3-dimensional chess while Harry's playing checkers.
This is why gossip is dangerous.
So Angela Johnson says that Quidditch is back for Gryffindor, so that is good news. Hermione begins to question whether or not their secret group is a good idea, though. Literally, her reasoning is that Sirius thought it was a good idea, so now she's worried, which is absolutely fantastic.
Again, tells you what kind of person you are.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like
So
she's
great.
not wrong at all.
Oh my God.
She's not.
In so many ways.
Yeah. Harry gets upset. Hermione raises the concern, look, Sirius has become pretty reckless since being cooped up in the house, and he's basically just living vicariously through us, which is so spot on, so incredibly on the nose.
Yep.
Later on in the day, it's Quidditch practice, and it's raining like crazy. Fred and George are considering using skiving snack boxes, which are the things that, you know, make you throw up and get out of class. But Angela would know.
Right. For skiving off. For all your skiving off needs.
So then they mentioned fever fudge, which is something that's supposed to give you a fever, but they're still working out some kinks in it because in addition to giving you a fever, it gives you giant boils on your butt. So not a great side effect.
So specific and alliterative.
Yeah, right? Butt boils from fever fudge. So just FFBB.
Butt boils. For only 3 easy payments of $14.95.
Symptoms include butt boils. Yeah. If large boils grow on your butt, call your doctor immediately and stop using fever fudges.
Big wizarding pharma.
That'd be so good.
It does not cause butt boils. I promise. It does not cause butt boils. It caused butt
The
boils.
infomercials where it's like on at 2 a.m. Did you use fever fudge and get boils on your butt? You might be entitled to a large settlement of thousands of dollars.
Call Vindelbort, Bibblybung,
Vindelbort
and
Bibblybong.
Zubabing. The last one did not stick the landing, but I stand by the first 2, and it is a law firm.
Oh, yes. God, so good. So Angelina says that they should all use the impervious thing. They were like, she basically says, Harry, what was that thing you used that one time it was raining bad? And he was like, oh, I use impervious. She was like, yeah, everybody do that on your face, which took way too long. Everybody should have been using this since day one. I am flabbergasted that it took them so long. Angelina eventually has to cancel practice because the rain is just so terrible. And when they get back to the lockers, Harry's scar starts hurting super badly. He waits for the kids to kind of leave, and then he starts to tell Ron in private. And he goes on this big tangent about how he's gotten to a point with the scar where he can tell what emotion that Voldemort is feeling, and anytime it's strong, even if it's strong happy or strong anger, he feels some sort of pain in the scar. So it's this weird, like, furthering the connection between the two, which is just getting creepier and creepier.
It's the, like, pre-rain arthritic response of Voldemort, like, strong emotions, / like, the twinning.
Harry's back in the dorm, and Dobby comes in with Hedwig, returned from Professor Grubbly Plank. Hedwig is totally fine, and Dobby is wearing multiple layers of the scarves, socks, and hats that Hermione has been knitting, which is great. And Harry's like, yo, or Harry asks him, have you been giving these to anyone else, or are you the only one wearing them? And he says, oh, I've given some to Winky, but the other house elves are offended by them because these house elves are still on team we like being house elves for some reason.
Right. Whereas Dobby's all about that progressive house elf life, which I bet you progressivehouseelf.life is available.
Let's flip it. Let's flip it.
This is going to be the rest of my commentary.
It's just
possible Harry Potter domains with new TLDs.
So Harry asks how Winky is doing, and Dobby says that Winky is still drunk pretty often. So Winky is still drinky. Zing. Dobby noticed that Harry was muttering in his sleep, and he says that he wishes he could help him because Harry setting him free was like the best thing to ever happen to him. And he says he's just so much happier on his own, and he appreciates the freedom, et cetera, et cetera. And this is making a big, like, internal battle for me because up until this point I've hated Dobby. He's so annoying. He hasn't really done anything good. And this whole conversation, he's just the nicest, most selfless little creature. And he's so nice to Winky, and he's so nice to Harry. And I'm starting to do a 180 on Dobby, and I was very staunch against him. So I'm just having a bit of a crisis by liking him now. So it's putting me in a hard place. Harry says, actually, there is a way you can help me. Do you know a place where we could have a secret meeting? And immediately Dobby says, yeah, I know one. He says that the house elves call it the come and go room, but it is more notably known as the room of requirement. It's a room in which people only enter if they have a significant need for it. And when it appears, it is always equipped and shaped to best fit the seeker's need.
This is perhaps my favorite part of the entire Harry Potter series. If I could get one thing out of the books, it would be this. I'm basically recording this in my equivalent of that room that I've been able to create in real life, which is just an extra bedroom.
It would be so good. Yeah, it would always be a full court basketball court for me so that I could just practice free throws and 3-pointers from the comfort of my own home and not have to drive to LA LA Fitness. So he says that when Winky gets too drunk, he puts her in there. And I just love Dobby now. I've fully converted. And it's got couches and anti-drunk medicine and all this stuff that can help her. So he's just a saint. He cites that Filch has used it for extra cleaning supplies. And Harry's like, oh, could it be a bathroom if you really had to go to the bathroom when you were in this hallway? And Dobby says, I don't see why not. So seems like the perfect place for their meeting. So it's lunch the next day. Angelina says that Quidditch practice is canceled, so Harry says, oh, how about we meet that night? Which totally makes sense. Hermione is a bit weary about meeting in this place, though, because she says, well, the last time Dobby had a bright idea, it involved breaking your arm on purpose to get you out of being at school. And Harry's like, oh, yeah.
Right.
Good point.
Your faves are problematic.
So Harry says, yeah, but I've also heard about this room from Dumbledore, because apparently Dumbledore cited it.
Once upon a time.
Yeah, he mentioned it in passing to Harry at the Yule Ball, which I don't remember at all.
He really had to go to the bathroom, and it was the nicest like porcelain whole thing. And yeah, he was basically like, this job never gets old because I love this place because you never really truly know it.
Oh my god,
entirely. Yeah.
Okay, so when I recorded the episode covering that section,
tell me you commented on it.
I went on this big like a minute and a half thing where I was just asking Rosianna, my guest, I was just saying, what is he talking about? What the fuck is is this a joke? Is this a reference? Did I miss a section of the
this was long-term plotting.
Wow. Props to J.K. Rowling. She thought of a joke a book ahead. So
it also could be what we like to call retroactive cleverness at the Wolf 359.
Oh, she does that a
headquarters.
lot. She does that very often. You can the Irish Quidditch team, they were down, they were losing a lot or winning by so much, but Crumb got the snitch. Quidditch scoring system isn't the worst.
Yeah.
Classic. I will never forget. Quidditch is my least favorite thing in the world is Quidditch.
But what about the real Quidditch in our world that is played on real
It's
broomsticks?
fine. I think they fixed some of the problematic aspects of it. Because
the fact that all you need are not catchers, embarrassing.
Seekers?
Seekers.
Yeah, I think they fix. I think when people play Quidditch in college and stuff, they fix the scoring system so it's not as messed up.
Right. So it's basically not just two seekers running around. Everybody else
Doesn't
just doing whatever
matter
the hell they
unless
want.
you're down by 16 scores.
Yep.
The other favorite thing that someone pointed out to me once is that the scoring system is in 10s and 150s. Why isn't it just 1s and 15s?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? It's divisible by 10.
More exciting. Higher
right.
numbers.
Higher numbers. So the fact that Harry says that Dumbledore told him about it, Hermione instantly goes, oh, okay, never mind. Let's go through with the plan. So before the squad enters the room, Harry uses the Marauders map, which I don't remember him getting it back. I don't know how he got it back in the end of 4. I don't know if Dumbledore gave it back to him or something. But he has it back in his possession.
I forget.
Checks the map, sees the coast is clear, and then before entering, he thinks, please give me a room where we can practice magic. And they go in, and the room is just fully stocked with cushions, which is good for when they're doing charms that, knock people into the air.
Make people fall down.
It's got a bunch of equipment they can use, like sneakoscopes and faux glass, and then also it's got books that they can read up on. So apparently sneakoscopes and faux glass are used to detect darkness, like they're dark detectors, but they're not 100% foolproof. Faux glass has like a bunch of shadowy figures in it, but that keep like changing. So my guess is that if there's something evil near it, that image will show on faux glass, but I don't know. That's just me kind of trying to guess since the name is literally faux glass, FOE, not like fake glass.
Right.
So that's just my guess based on context clues. So we'll see how that goes. Hermione says that they should elect a leader after everybody comes. She says, okay, first order of business, we should elect a leader. Cho immediately says, Harry's the leader. And of course, Harry gets butterflies. It is described as, quote, his heart doing a backflip.
Right. I remember her being like angry that there was even a suggestion that there's not a leader that is
It's gotta be Harry.
Anybody other than Harry. Yeah. Somebody's got a crush.
It raises a bit of a red flag to me because Cho Chang has gotten over Cedric Diggory way too quickly. It has been one summer and your boyfriend...
That's not true.
Your boyfriend was murdered. It's been a summer.
It's complicated.
I just think it's a bit quick of a turnaround to be like, My boyfriend, who was a Hogwarts champion, died. How about I get romantically interested in this other Hogwarts champion that was
Right, but there's like, I don't know, there's got to be some like, I'm not a psychologist, but like he brought back the boyfriend's body. Like there's got to be some like transference or something. I don't know.
I mean,
whatever.
yeah, it's not like Harry's a shitty person. I just think that her grieving period was not significant enough.
He's also like a super celebrity. But yeah, I mean, but also, I don't know. Like it's hard. It's you get lonely.
Yeah.
I don't know. Loss is tough.
And we
man.
don't know how long she was dating Cedric, so it could have been just like a little fling. It might not have been anything actually serious.
That's also true.
So, okay. But anyway, I just thought it was a bit of a red flag.
Right. We won't slut shame her
I'm not
on this show. On my
I do not
watch.
stand for slut shaming. Cho Chang lost some points for me in this little section. She just seems to be like not the greatest. Hermione says, to be fair, that they should put it up to a vote, and Harry wins unanimously, so that's fantastic. The next order of business is that they need to pick a name. So Angelina Johnson suggests the Anti-Umbridge League, which is great. Beautiful name. I was on team Angelina Johnson should have been Hogwarts champion, not Cedric Diggory. I think it would have been great.
Hufflepuff?
No, she's Gryffindor, but
Oh, Hogwarts
yeah,
champion. Right?
Hogwarts champion. So it would have been good if they picked her.
Right,
It would be nice to have black girl that's awesome instead of, a bunch of white dudes and Fleur. So just would have been spice up the diversity a little bit, would have been cool. But that's just me. I'm a big Angelina Johnson fan, especially when she becomes captain because she's just angry about everything and I love it. Fred suggests that they name it the Ministry of Magic Are Morons Group, which is accurate, but doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
Right. Not great branding.
No. And then Hermione says that, no, we should pick a more covert name. Cho suggests the Defense Association, which is lame, which we can call the DA for short, but just the Defense Association. All right, Cho Chang. Super inventive. But then Ginny Weasley comes in and says, okay, DA's good, only let's make it stand for Dumbledore's army, which is incredible, and Harry should have dropped to one knee on the spot. Like right then and there. You marry Ginny Weasley. That's incredible.
Not wrong. Not wrong. She is, I think, still dating that guy.
Yeah, she is, so it's a bit problematic.
That's true, but also Charlie Brown has to get the dream girl out of his system, realize that that's not the real dream.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to come around.
Exactly. What is even the dream girl's name? It's not Peppermint Patty, it's what's-her-face. It's like the redheaded girl. Does she even have a name?
Oh my God, she doesn't.
She's
which
just the redheaded girl. And
talk about like
Yeah.
unhealthy masculinity.
Oh, man.
Nameless object of desire. Anywho, Harry Potter.
Anyway, Harry Potter. The name passes the vote. And Hermione says that they should start with Expelliarmus. Zachariah Smith scoffs like, that's useless against Voldemort. And Harry says, actually, I used that to save my life in the last book. So if you think it's beneath you, you can leave. Not a worthless spell, Zacharias. So all the kids pair up. Neville and Harry Potter team up, and Neville finally gets it to work at the end, which is good. We're finally getting Neville not being completely useless, which is nice.
It's about time.
But yeah, it really is about time that he's not just being...
That boy has paid more than his fair
Yeah,
share.
they're just
of
shitting on
dues.
him all the time. So we're getting some good Neville moments. Harry starts giving some pointers out. Cho has this like awkward thing where she messes up really badly to where she lights her friend's arm on fire. And Harry's like, oh, that wasn't too bad. And Cho's like, what? And he goes, yeah, it was actually pretty lousy, which is beautiful. But then she awkwardly brings up that she's anti-Umbridge because they're trying to cover up what happened to Cedric. And then she has this awkward silence like, oh, Cedric. And then everyone moves on and no one brings it up again. So they're just like, oh, yeah, right. Your boyfriend died. Moving on. Just not really giving it the proper due. So then it's late, they have to leave, and Ron and Hermione bicker all the way back about how many times Ron actually successfully disarmed her, which is just their cute couple fighting back at it again.
Yup.
And then we get into chapter 19, The Lion and the Serpent. My first note right off the bat, before I even started reading, I wrote, is this just a creative way of saying it's Gryffindor versus Slytherin Quidditch? I'm really hoping that it's not. Well, spoiler alert, it is! So Harry always thinks about Dumbledore's army during class. It's just always daydreaming
Right.
about it. He's really happy with it.
It's the first thing he's really good at school. Let's be real.
Exactly. So he notes that the dates meeting aren't regular because they have to account for 3 Quidditch team practices, which confirms that no one in this group is from Slytherin, which I think is kind of weird. Like, how outcast is Slytherin from this? That there's not one person that would be down to do this. I think that's just a bit of a red flag.
I think it's that they're not going to invite them.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think it's like they don't want to participate. I
Yeah.
think they just don't know.
That's
Because everybody's
true.
like, well, we can't trust those guys.
Mhm. Hermione uses this awesome charm on fake galleons, which originally tricked Ron, which is sad. He thought Hermione had a basket of money, which the little Ron jabs like that are so sad. Where the serial number that's usually written around the coin, she has made it so that there's numbers around it that correspond to dates and times when they're having their next meeting.
Right.
And she puts a spell on it, and you can feel the certain numbers are hot. That says when their next meeting is. It is called a protean charm, which is apparently an NEWT level thing, which Terry Boot brings up.
Which is even harder than the OWL level stuff. I mean, we're talking
Exactly.
like GRE to SATs.
Yeah, it's some big deal stuff. It's big boy things. Terry Boot asks, well, why aren't you a Ravenclaw? Which is a good point. And she cites that the Sorting Hat thought about it. So, I don't know. Harry tells her that it reminds him of the Dark Mark thing. And she says that was the inspiration, which is awesome, but also kind of, I don't know, it's like, whoa. Hermione drawing inspiration from Voldemort is not something I would expect her to do, but I like it.
It's dark.
It's not expected,
but it's for good.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Yeah, it's like taking his innovation but using it for good rather than evil. And being better about it because it's way sneakier than a giant tattoo on your forearm.
Yeah, it's also less like painful.
Yeah, and it's more effective. Harry mentions that they need to make sure that no one should accidentally spend the galleons, and then Ron, again, really sad, says, fat chance, I don't have any real galleons to confuse them with, which, oh man, it's just so tragic. Just so tragic. So then next page, I just wrote all caps, God damn it, it is Slytherin versus Gryffindor Quidditch match. Fucking shit, J.K. Rowling.
That's amazing.
Just so disappointing. Basically, the teachers in the week leading up to it are super homers. McGonagall gives less homework to everyone explicitly so that Gryffindors can practice more, which the school just needs to get its priorities together. Snape reserves the Quidditch field all the time so that the Slytherins are always practicing there and the Gryffindors have to practice at weird hours. He also turns his eye to when people are doing hexes on members of the Gryffindor Quidditch team, which is, again, problematic. I really feel like Snape needs to get fired. He's not good at being a teacher or a mentor or a chaperone. Like, he's bad at everything he's supposed to be as a teacher. He's just not good.
Except for potions.
I guess he's good at potions. He's not good at teaching them, though, because he just writes it on a board
No,
and then yells at you.
No, I was not implying. Yeah, no. He just is good at making potions.
Good for him. Harry is confident because Gryffindor has never lost to Slytherin, and this makes me think, oh, wow, this is the first time they're going to lose. Spoiler alert, they don't lose. He's also confident in Ron's ability as a keeper. He mentions that Ron is nowhere near as consistent as Oliver would, but when Ron makes a save, it's awesome. And he cites this one time where Ron was falling like off of his broom with one arm and then kicked the quaffle out of the way of going into the goal, and it went all the way into the opponent's goal on the other side, which is incredible.
Right.
You later learn Ron admits to Harry that he did it by mistake.
Totally an accident.
Complete accident.
Yeah.
He was like, I was just getting back on my broom and I accidentally did the most perfect kick in the world.
Right. Like, if I recreated that, I would kill myself. Is essentially where that
He's doing
was.
pretty good and other people are noticing. And Harry says, even Fred had said that Ron might yet make him and George proud, and that they were seriously considering admitting that he was related to them, something he assured Ron they had been trying to deny for 4 years. That is the greatest quote that has happened in this entire book. And that cements Fred as better than George. Just because, like, that is absolutely incredible. I can't get over how fucking funny that is. I laughed for a very long time while I was eating lunch at work when I was reading Harry Potter in the break room.
That for 4 years, Fred's been like, no, one of us is adopted.
Ron isn't with us. Just like how backhanded of a compliment this is. It's like 3 parts backhanded. He might yet make us proud. We're considering admitting that you're related to us. And we've been denying you being related for 4 years. Oh, it's so
The
funny.
triple Lutz of backhanded
Yeah,
jokes.
the triple sow cow of backhanded compliments.
It's like an Olympic level backhand.
10 from the Russian judge.
That guy's hard to please.
He is. He really is. Pansy Parkinson's hits Harry with an insult in the hallway, says Warrington, who's a guy on the Slytherin team, Warrington's going to knock you off your broom Saturday. And Harry replies with, his aim is so bad, I'd be more concerned if he was aiming for the guy next to me, which is,
Burn.
it's so good. Like, I'm telling you, angsty Harry's
Them's fighting
burns
words.
are fantastic. Ron, on the other hand, not doing so well with the insults. Every time anyone says something mean to him, he either just gets super angry or embarrassed. So not as well equipped as Harry is, because Harry's been dealing with this for 4.5 books now. Then it's the day of the match. It's super cold. Ron is super nervous. Luna comes up at breakfast and she's got a hat. And this isn't just any old hat.
Oh, no.
This is a top hat.
Oh, yes.
Which has a lion's head on the top of it. And it will occasionally do a authentic lion's roar. Now, I think that that's great. Absolutely amazing, especially because she's a Ravenclaw. But I think the only thing that would have been better was that instead of roaring, if it had the same voice as the Sorting Hat and it just went Gryffindor every time the lion opened its mouth. I think that's the only way to make it better.
Yep. Yep.
All the Slytherins are wearing little pins that are in the shape of crowns. And you later learn that they say Weasley is our king, which seems too positive to be an insult, so this has to come into play later. And the squad just tries to get Ron to not see it, so they keep trying to get him to not notice it because it's going to psych him out even further. Before the match starts, Angelina notes that Crabbe and Goyle are now on the Slytherin team, and they are the beaters of the bludgers, which definitely makes sense because they're very brutish. And apparently the guys they're replacing on the team were similar, like not the brightest bulbs in the lamp.
You don't say.
So the match begins, and it takes 2 sentences for Lee Jordan as the announcer to hit on Angelina Johnson, which is great. I love, like, this recurring bit is one of my favorite things, is that he always just tries to hit it off with Angelina. And if they don't become a couple by the end of the series, I will be so disappointed because I want it. I want it so bad. I really do. Lee also later on has a great moment where he's announcing a play-by-play really quickly. And he's like, George, Fred. Oh, who cares? One of them hits the bludger.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So good.
So fantastic.
I feel like that would be my calling if I
just
were
call
a
one of the
Hogwarts student,
twins.
would just be the, like,
Fred George.
no, just like the announcer of Quidditch.
Yeah. Oh, you would be so good. You would be.
It would be so
fantastic.
fun.
I could see you doing that for sure. As the match begins, the Slytherins have learned a very elaborate anti-Ron Weasley chant, specifically anti-Ron Weasley. The entire thing is 8 lines, and it says the following. They're singing it. Weasley cannot save a thing. He cannot block a single ring. That's why Slytherins sing, Weasley is our king. Weasley was born in a bin. He always lets the quaffle in. Weasley will make sure we win. Weasley is our king.
I still remember the melody.
The singing of it was very solid. I listened to the audiobook portion for this. Now, there's a lot of problems with this chant. First off, way too long. 8 lines, no way that you're going to be able to recite this and learn it. That's the first thing, right off the bat. We're talking the stuff like, we want a pitcher, not a belly itcher, like 2-line couplet, boom. 8-line with different rhyme scheme, like,
but
come
doesn't
on.
that just show the level of contempt?
I guess, but I think it's a bit over the top. But the other
just
thing
a
is,
little bit.
first off, the amount of syllables in every line does not match up because Weasley is our king is nowhere near as long as he cannot block a single ring. So you have to really draw out Weasley is our king to make it fit. So that's not the best song. And then also, during the match, they start singing the song at different parts of the 8 lines without any rhyme or reason.
I read that as like musicality of prose, where like
it doesn't necessarily mean it's silence and then they pick it up there.
right.
I just thought it was crazy how much they jump around.
I totally get it. And there's a world where like we get to get JK on the podcast, and she's just
my
like,
God.
no, that was exactly, you're right.
Yeah.
Shoobs.
When I have JK on for 28 consecutive episodes, like, okay, but Quidditch.
Yeah.
Like on episode 27, I'm still like, but the quaffle.
Right.
So she's just, are you gonna ask me about anything else? No.
You're like, yes, that song during Quidditch.
Oh my God. J.K. Rowling would hate
you
me
kidding
if
me?
I ever met her. She would hate me so much. It'd be the best. Ron is basically doing a poor job of being a goalie. He's letting in a bunch of scores, and they go down 2-0 really quickly. Then they're down 4-1, so it's not looking super good. Harry, though, notices the snitch finally, and him and Malfoy go in a dive, and pretty quickly he dives, grabs it, and he grabs it just ahead of Malfoy. It even describes Malfoy's nails as scratching Harry's hand as he clasps the snitch in his fist. So super close call there. After Harry successfully has the snitch and is displaying it to the ref that he's got it, he gets hit in the back with a bludger, which is just a dick move, and you find out Crabbe hit it. So just a super garbage move by a garbage human.
I always laugh when I hear that. I don't know what about that expression.
I love saying garbage human. It's my favorite. It's one of my faves. So Malfoy starts talking smack after the game, and he asks Ron if he likes the song. He says that they wanted to insult his parents too, but they couldn't find any rhymes for fat or ugly, which is a bit of a problem because there's a lot of words that rhyme with fat. Bat, cat, rat, sat, mat. It shouldn't be hard to find rhymes for fat.
Right.
And then ugly, you really only get snuggly, but you can still like find a way to throw it in a couplet. So I think that excuse is bullshit. He also mentions that he couldn't fit in useless loser to make fun of his dad. That's only 4 syllables, so you can probably find a way to fit it in a line.
That's just a lack of effort.
Yeah,
Let's be real.
Yeah, like they put in all this effort to teach this 8-line anti-Ron insult, and they really just didn't put that much effort into the writing.
I think they just they clocked out like the 2,700 hours it took to get that song written and rehearsed well enough to pull it off, and they were just like, "Look, guys,
Don't worry about rhyming with ugly.
we're just gonna have to leave it here."
Malfoy then takes it a bit farther, though, talks smack about the Weasley house, and then compares it to Harry's mother's house. So he's managed to make fun of the Weasley's parents, the Weasleys for being poor, and Harry for being an orphan, all in one go. So George and Harry just beat the shit out of Malfoy. They just don't even mess with wands. They just start punching him repeatedly, which
Biblical.
good for them.
It is a pressure valve that has
Yeah.
just been building since book 1.
He's not a normal bully. He's making fun of a kid for being an orphan and another kid for being poor. Like, that's not okay. It's different than making fun of someone for having acne or a big
Which
nose.
really tells you more about his parents than it does about him.
Because that's one of those things. Is like, you didn't learn that at age 14. Your evil dad told you to make fun of this.
Right. No, you didn't figure that out on your own.
Yeah,
You just playing a horrible game of telephone. You should cut it out because that's how history progresses.
Yep, exactly.
Ahem.
Oh,
America.
Oh, it's too real. So Hooch hits them with impedimenta to back them off and immediately sends George and Harry to McGonagall. So McGonagall, obviously super upset. She starts berating them until you find out that Umbridge is in the same room and butts in. McGonagall says, Umbridge, no thanks, I don't need any help, I've got this. But Umbridge keeps hitting her with the hem-hems. She first pipes up when McGonagall says that they're going to get a week of detention. Umbridge says she doesn't think that's enough. And McGonagall says, well, too bad, it's my decision, not yours. But then Umbridge says, well, not according to the new educational degree number 25. And McGonagall, quote, screams violently, not another one, which is great.
Assures her position as the greatest person in this section.
Yeah, so
if not the books.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she's easily top 5, probably in contention. Her and Hermione are duking it out for the top spot at this point. Umbridge says that she did it because of McGonagall, actually, and the fact that McGonagall went over her head to have Dumbledore approve the Gryffindor Quidditch team being reinstated. So Umbridge wanted to have some bullshit where there were either 3 teams or only 2 teams or just 1 team. Which
power trip.
I can't believe I'm defending Quidditch. But this is the first time we've made it,
Wow.
Probably 30 episodes.
That's the mark of a true artist.
I mean, it's just not
She
fair.
can make you hate a game, but she can make you fight for its right.
That is how evil Umbridge is that she has caused me to defend Quidditch. Like, that's how bad she is. We've really reached an upper echelon of evil.
Nice job, J.K. Rowling.
Really, though, props to J.K. Rowling. This is a perfectly written villain. Just absolutely perfect. So this decree gives the High Inquisitor say over all punishments, banishments, etc. So she then goes on to ban Harry and George from ever playing Quidditch again. And then she bans Fred too, because Fred was caught in like a hold me back moment by the Gryffindor Quidditch team.
Right.
But who's to say that he was going to go fight them? He could have been trying to get in to stop them from doing it. So I think it's ridiculous to ban someone for potentially doing something bad, mainly just because he's George's twin.
Yep.
Crabbe doesn't get in significant trouble for hitting Harry with the bludger. He just has to write lines. And it's not even said if it's Umbridge's evil lines or they're carved into his skin. I doubt that they are. And then they go back to meet up with the Gryffindor Quidditch team to talk about what happened. Angelina says, oh, it's such BS that Fred also got banned because he didn't do anything. And Fred says, no, I definitely would have, quote, pounded that little scumbag to a pulp if you 3 wouldn't have held me back, which is, cool. Hell yeah. Fred, baby.
Right.
So Ron is super sad about his performance because he played really poorly. He's super downtrodden about that. Harry is kind of...
Well, right, because he has performance anxiety. Like,
I mean,
you know.
but he, in Ron's defense of not defending himself, he was really bad.
There's an entire quarter of the school singing a really embarrassing song about him that's super distracting.
Yeah, that's the other thing is Harry says, yo, you were on the receiving end of a quarter of the student body
Right.
plus some other people singing against you. How would you ever expect to perform well? But Ron is still
Right,
being
but he's
sad.
like Kel in Mystery Men. Like he can go invisible, but nobody can look.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And
Deep cut.
So Ron is no, I love it. I haven't seen that in forever. My God.
Gold.
So we've got good deep cuts with that and Patches O'Houlihan. We're killing it with the mid 2000s movie references. So Ron's sad and Harry's mad already because of the ban, and now he's getting upset about Ron being self-deprecating and stuff. Hermione then butts in and she says, I got something that'll cheer you guys up. They turn and she says, Hagrid is back, which cue the CSI Miami. Yeah! Just the perfect end to a chapter.
Nice.
And a beautiful end to this episode of Potterless. So, listeners, thank you for joining along this ride from Platform 9 3/4. And Zach, thank you for being a part of this. These 2 episodes were super fun to have you
Really
on.
such a pleasure. Also, my deepest apologies for patchouli enthusiasts, Catholics, curious witches, and hairy people and or creatures. No apologies to white supremacists or Trump voters.
I am so glad you wrote down all the people you potentially offended. That's great. That'll do really good for the Twitter mentions.
I try. In addition to Wolf 359, you may be interested in a non-audio drama show
Yeah.
that I did.
Plug it up.
It is coming back eventually. Right now, there are just the 60 daily episodes that I was doing when I was doing it as a daily show. It is called Focused AF. It has a less PG-13 name. When you listen to the actual show, it is rated explicit, so keep that in mind. There is swearing involved.
Focused as frick.
Yes.
Focused as
Focused
friends.
as frack.
Focused as friends.
Yeah. Focused as fellows.
Yes.
It is vaguely about an attention deficit creator that you may have been listening to for the last little while, being myself. And there's a non-zero amount of my geriatric cat Tiffany, and other adventures in my life as a podcaster, filmmaker, and New York City resident.
Yeah.
It's a bit like a daily vlog, but in audio format.
Super fun.
And if you want to listen to Focused AF, you can go to focused.af.
Beautiful.
And check that out there.
Awesome. Cool. That's some good stuff. That really is. I can't recommend all that stuff enough. I've listened to some Focused AF and it's great. And the fact that you made daily podcasts for 60 days straight is phenomenal. So
It was a lot of fun.
Props to you there. But
Thanks.
Again, Zach, thank you so much for being a part of this. This was super fun. Listeners, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, as they say in Hogwarts, every day at the end of class, wizard on.
Potterless was created by Make Sure It is hosted by Make Sure It is edited by Make Sure It is produced by Make Sure It, as well as Andres Oselby, Vicky Garcia, Aaron Johnson, Erica and Calvin Bauer, Michael Vanderslice, Sadie Bear, Emily Whiffen, Chandra Cruz, Jesse Horkin, Maggie Zobazek, Natalie Klobuchar, Deborah Wilkes, Daisy Kjartan Stoddard, Klaus Serlobu, Michael Buch, Sean Jones, and Alexander Stark. Web design by Kelly Beckman, and the music is by Bettina Campamanes. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can find us at potterlesspodcast.com. It has links to all of our social media. We're on every podcasting app that exists. And if you leave us a rating and review on any of those, that really does help so much. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. And until next time, wizard on.